Assalamu alaikum, my name is Salim Siddiqui and you're listening or watching a hotconflict.com video series. I hope you're enjoying it. We've been going through some of the stories of what's been going on this planet we call Earth. Now again, because at the hotconflict.com website, what we try to do is talk about Islam and the religion of the Muslims in a perspective or in a way, and communicate some of the stories in a way that can be easily understood to a Western audience based on modern times and from people who have a Western perspective, so that they can get a proper understanding of Islam and avoid some of the myths and misconceptions. And so we're reminding each other today that this is Eid, the great Eid, and Muslims all over the world had gotten together and pray and bow and worship to the Lord Most High. And also, what? They gathered together in the holy city Mecca to worship the Lord. And so we go back to our story in the creation of the world and the oath between God and Adam, when God was had created Adam after he created this whole universe and everything that was in it, and the original battles that went on with the other races of jinns or interdimensional beings or smokeless fire entities that we are taught of in Islam, and the human race, and the fundamentals of faith being to believe in the Lord Most High. And we've been continuing the story, and we got to the part where Abraham, who had realized the truth and that there was only one God, and the other false gods of his father had been untrue, and that the stars were not gods, and the shining galaxies out there were not gods, and the sun and the moon was not God. And that has been a concept that has often misguided people, and so that was important for Ibrahim to indicate to us in this fate of the universe that we're in the story that I'm trying to explain to you, in the reality of who you are and why you're here. Ibrahim had gotten to the point where he wanted to be the pillar of belief on the planet Earth, so that from this point on, the idea of worshiping God would never be wiped out, and that there would always be a place of worship for the Lord. And from his children to be the leaders of the war that's going on between good and evil, good being those who believe in the Lord and are searching for the light, and the Lord, of course, being referred to in, of course, all the major religions and myths and understandings when people actually refer to the Lord as the great ultimate light, Nur, as we say in Arabic. And so Ibrahim had gotten to the part in his story where his firstborn had been tested in the sacrifice tribute near Mina, that we call in modern times right now in the Arabian Peninsula, and that Ibrahim had his dream come true, that he was going to establish the religion of faith in believing in the one true Lord on the earth, so that it couldn't be taken away. And so his son had been proved to be a righteous believer, and together they built the house to worship the Lord Most High. This house that they hand-built together still stands where it is today, and that's one of the miracles of the story. But like I said, the situation gets a little complicated, because Ibrahim made a pledge to Allah to be that man, and asked Allah to bless him with the greatest of all children. And Allah did, but always in life, good things come with tests. And so Sarah, who was unable to have children at this point, still wanted so badly to serve the Lord and bear a noble, great, believing, pious son. And God, having so much love for Abraham as being such a great man who truly understood the faith, blessed him with a son, and that was Isaac. And so as the story goes, men continue to be born from this family, continuing down the line of Isaac, who understood the war and led their people and their families and reminded them that we are at war, and our Father Adam has told us about this, and the last time we didn't pay attention, the world was destroyed during the time of Noah. Only a few were saved, and now we are the descendants of Abraham who vowed to make sure that we do not lose the war to the dark side, who is being led by Satan, the leader of the other races. We have been blessed with the truth and the light. We are the children from the blood, from the genetic code of Adam that was formed and created by God and breathed life into. What a miracle. And Eve taken from the rib of Adam. So that connection is there. And so the continuous line of warriors of the faith in the war between good and evil in the story that we're telling continue to come from Abraham's family, because he was blessed. He was blessed. And his answer was his prayers were answered. Now, of course, there are many prophets, and like I said, we can't tell the whole story in one day. I mean, if we go through every single ancient society and culture, all the tales and the signs will be there for those of understanding. But clearly a person that I've got to mention is Joseph. Joseph, again, in the super natural story of Jacob seeing dreams and understanding the stars and the moon and the sky and the representation of his sons being the leaders of the great believers of the time, that we are going to form a huge amount of clans of strong believers to spread the faith around the world. Ooh, it was an amazing concept, right? And God was going to bless these children of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, right? The plan was working perfectly, and the families were staying strong, and they were reminding themselves of the family unit, and the blood was passing on, and the light of the truth was withheld within the family and the children. And they had a little problem with Joseph and his brothers, right? I mean, Joseph was so loved by Jacob that they decided to get rid of him. And I'm going to go quickly over the story, but only to mention one fundamental point, because I said we're going to talk about the story today and talk about the strange and the weird and the supernatural and things that you usually don't hear. And I'm trying to give you the truth, and I'm trying to spill it all out. So if you're paying attention and understand the concepts, here they all are. We said we're trying to understand what is the real truth of the one and only God, and how do we differentiate ourselves between all the misdirection and miscommunication from the other side and all the other powers and beliefs. Well, we got to mention this, right? Because Joseph ends up being the prophet that has this special gift. His father had this special dream that indicated Joseph was going to be special. Why? Joseph is chosen as the next leader of the descendants of Abraham to go what? To remember and be able to have the ability that what? Many of, in now modern day times, we're saying that, in the miscommunication and misdirection, we have all these people in the West who are searching for philosophical, spiritual concepts and going to all kinds of strange mediums and methods to get that, while ignoring the basic truth and misunderstanding between a false prophet and a true prophet. And that's what all the true prophets from God always try to tell you, the difference. Know that you're trying to get the true message from the Lord. And for that, there has to be clear indications of it, and there are signs. And so Joseph was blessed with what? Unlike Eastern cultures where you have Buddhist and Taoist and, Indian concepts, where we know that a lot of these societies that I'm referring to now in the ancient mystic societies, all of their principles and faith principles are based on terribly pagan concepts. I mean, Hinduism has how many gods, and some of the Chinese concepts of all the different gods, and what? Again, what method that Ibrahim was trying to fight against? All the different belief in the stars and astrology and getting information from fortunes and the other side. What's all that from? Again, that's all the misdirection from the other races, right? They are able to see things and know things because of their position up in the galaxy, and sometimes this information gets warped over here. And so all these ancient societies had things.